Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. My name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
And we are recording here March 30th, 2024, day before Easter, day before my birthday as well.
That's right.
Happy April Fools if you celebrate that as well coming up. We're just going to be talking about, have a little quick episode, talk about some of the moves we just saw. Obviously, the big one being Haason Reddick. We'll start with that. But as always, before we get into it, we are part of the Philadelphia Eagles fan club of Colorado Springs. We watch every Eagles game, and we will be watching the draft at Frankie's on Powers and Galley here in Colorado Springs. We hope to see you there. Dad, let's not waste any time with chit-chat. Let's get right into it. The Eagles traded Haason Reddick to the New York Jets for a conditional third-round pick that can become a second-round pick in 2026 if he plays 67.5 snaps and has 10 sacks or more. What's your thoughts on this?
So that's for the 2024 season.
Correct.
He has to have those numbers.
Yes.
So I believe he'll match those numbers. I'm a little bit, the 10 sacks might not be, but definitely the time playing because he's going to play like a lot.
He's going to play a
lot of time. I know they renegotiated his contract, so he's probably making upwards of 20 plus, 24.
Have they already done that?
No, it's not out. No, it's
but
not
he will
out.
be making it.
But that's what is going to happen because they definitely had to sign him, and they probably signed him to a 3 or 4 year deal. I know a lot of the guys in the group are not very happy with it. I've seen some, texts and little things from Big Ben and things like that. And I'm on the fence with it. I really wanted him, but now he's gone. He's not on my team. I don't want him. Get out of here. If you don't want to be on my team, you'd be on my team. But I understand, this is a business. Unfortunately, we had a lot of time to do some funny stuff with it. I just think Howie bailed on him because he's afraid of that big 3-0. I really do.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah, I'm feeling the same way as you are. It was upsetting because we really did want him back. We really like this guy in 27 sacks in 2 years. I know you have more stats on that. 4 seasons in a row, 10 plus sacks, broke the record. First ever player to have three seasons in a row with 10 sacks with 3 different teams, with Arizona, the Carolina, and then Philly. So yeah, it's a bummer, and I think the James Bradberry thing, the signing of James Bradberry, I think it does play a part in it. Because we signed Bradberry right before he turned 30, or he was about to turn 30, and it ended up being, probably it's on our list of probably worst free agent, or not free agent, but worst signings in Eagles history. I know he was technically on our team still when we signed him again, but still.
And at the time, everyone would have agreed with him, said good signing. Yeah, he was a great player.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I have to step back and and we talked about it last night. We really wanted this guy back, but there's a few different things to look at here. He's going into his fourth team in 5 years, and it took a long time to trade him. So it kind of shows you what the NFL thinks of him. I don't know why they don't like him so much, because you would think, he just had 27 sacks in the last 2 years.
Right.
Then before that, he had 11 and 12 and a half. He's over 40 sacks in 4 years, almost 50. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, why not, including playoffs? Why does no one want him? It just doesn't really make sense, but you would think that when you put that guy in the trade block, like when we were like, we are seeking, we are allowing Haason Reddick to seek a trade, you would think it would be offered.
Especially on the teams that have a lot of cap space, which we were one of them eventually, but that wasn't really the way it started out. And
it just,
it's funny. I mean, obviously, I've watched the games the last couple of years, and this guy has no quit in him. He never stops. He doesn't drag. I never saw him fight with a coach. So it's not like he's a detriment in the locker room either, which is really odd, because usually that's something that you start to question. Like, oh, well, maybe he did this. It didn't seem like there was any of that baggage at all with that. So it is. It's just a money thing. It's an age thing. It took him 3 years to get really good in the NFL, but
true. Yeah.
Some players, that's what it takes. It's a shame we couldn't just grab him for 1 more year and say, hey, let's see how you do, and then we'll give you something.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's one of those things where, I don't know, does the NFL, it doesn't seem like he's very acknowledged as top tier in the NFL. I think we think he is, top 10, absolutely, defensive ends, or edge rusher.
The last 5 games of the season, he was like one of the hardest working players on our team.
Yeah.
I told you that.
The numbers weren't there, but
But he was continually, the effort was there.
Yeah.
The crazy running around the outside and slapping away hands. He played his butt off.
To me, it just seems like it's one of those things where I don't know. Because I was disappointed with what we got back.
I agree.
I was like, that's not enough. But it seems like he's not really. Maybe teams don't really want him. Even when we signed him back in before 22,
right?
3 year, $45 million. That's 15 a year.
That's what everybody was saying. How did we get him so cheap? And then he not just that, then he plays fantastically.
Yeah. So I don't know. it's one of those things where I feel like I got to kind of step back and remind myself, back in 2016, how he got his power back, won a Super Bowl the next year. Then he got incredibly unlucky with Wentz, who at the time in 16-17 looked like he was going to be a generational talent.
Agreed.
Injuries, psychology, didn't work out with him. And then he turns around and gets us another quarterback and another coach and gets us back to the Super Bowl in their second year. So at this point, I still can't question Howie.
Yeah, you can't. Can't argue with the magic of Howie.
A lot of people are furious. Well, this wasn't enough. Why are we getting rid of him? He's great. I agree with you, but I kind of have to go with Howie on this one.
But we did sign the younger guy, right, with Huff.
Yeah, Sweat.
And then we also got Sweat back too with another additional 2 or 3, I think.
Just 1 year. Just
this year, guaranteed 10. So that's how to do. So still, I mean,
it's a prove it year for him.
But I mean, next year, if he does say 12 or 13, we probably still could get him back. The way the market's been sitting, it's strange. But
I think if Sweat proves it, we'll keep him. But because he's young,
if that's the motivation we need to get him to go, I'm with it.
The funny thing, the unfortunate thing is, we have to cheer for Reddick next year to be great, and it's kind of funny because it's going to make the Eagles look bad. If he goes to New York, we need him to get at least 10 sacks.
Sure.
We need him to play all the time.
Right.
And it's funny because the better he plays, the worse the Eagles look, but we need that second-round pick. Right. We don't want a third. A third rounder for him is terrible.
But the worst part about the thing is when I heard, obviously, when I saw it was third, that can be a second, I went, oh, that's great. That's fantastic. The Jets stunk. Hopefully they stink again, and we're getting the third or fourth pick in the second round.
Yeah.
But then I read the details. It's another 3. It's 3 years. It's 3 drafts from now.
Yeah, as of right now, true. Yes.
So I mean, the thing about it is, after next year, after this year ends, and we know where that pick is, then I believe we can deal whatever we want with it. So you could combine a 2 with a 2 and get a 1.
Oh, absolutely.
So I mean, that's what we got to watch for, and that's one of the things that's just like the draft. Did we win the draft? Well, let's wait 5 years and then we'll find out.
Sure.
This guy's a bust. This guy made it. So that's what we got to do. It's unfortunate. I'm guessing the payroll part of it's good because we don't have to pay somebody $25 million a year.
I looked at it. In the end, we saved like $1 million.
Right.
It didn't make sense at all to do this trade, but
especially that far away.
I have to kind of resort back to Howie and say, let's just see. Maybe he knows something we don't. Maybe Reddick is going to get 6 sacks next year, and he's like, we'll take a third round for him. I don't know. But you wanted to compare Haason to some past defensive ends, correct?
Yeah, I've got
some statistics.
I went into the top 10 Eagles defensive ends or sacks guys, but defensive ends, defensive tackles. Number 10, I've got Andy Harmon. Number 91, played for us from 91 to 97, had 39.5 sacks in 5 years. So you're talking, that's pretty good. It's almost 8 a year for a defensive tackle. He is our career defensive tackle sack leader, which is weird because Cox has got,
Yeah, he can't be.
He's at that.
There's no way.
He's at 72 or whatever. So this must have been written, obviously.
I know there was a time where they started to, because he was in a 3-4 defense in his early in Cox's career, he was a 3-4 defense rather than a 4-3.
But they didn't
there was a time.
The end.
There was a time where he was listed as a DN because him and Graham were playing the outsides and the inside was Benny Cox at the time, or Benny Logan. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Benny Logan at the time, or Cedric Thornton.
It's funny how
there was a time in his career in a 3-4 defense.
Yeah.
They call him an end.
He's always been a tackle,
but it's weird.
It is weird. But anyway, so then number 9 had Jerome Brown. Number 99, he had 29.5 sacks in 5 years for us. He only played from 87 to 91. Let's see. He was drafted also. He was drafted number 9 overall in the 87 draft. So that was big time. The number 8 is William Fuller, number 95, 35.5 sacks in 3 years. He had 35.5 sacks in 45 games for the Eagles.
Wow.
Was a Pro Bowl all 3 years. Wow. So we got him kind of later in his career, and he just blew it up. So,
wow.
And I'm saying these numbers in 3 years because it kind of gives you an idea where Reddick had 27 in 2 years. So if he got 8 or 9, he would be up in that 38, 37 range.
And he had 2.5 the Super Bowl year, the year we went to the Super Bowl.
Right,
against the Niners, or 3.5 in those 3 games in the playoffs. So they're bringing up to 19.5 that year, basically. But go ahead, sorry.
So number 7 is, it kind of blew me out of the water here, a name that we don't really know, Greg Brown, number 98. He played from 81 to 86. He had 50.5 sacks in 5 seasons, which is, and one of the seasons, they didn't really count as sacks because it was an 82.
Yeah.
So the 81 year, his 7 or 4, whatever, we counted in this situation.
Okay.
7 fumble recoveries, 2 defensive touchdowns, 1 safety. He was a right defensive end. It was just amazing. Here's his numbers. In 84, he had 16 sacks. In 85, he had 13 sacks. In 86, he had 9 sacks. Wow. 38 in 3 years, which is pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
Number 6, Trent Cole. Number 58. He was kind of a defensive end, but they kind of called him. He was one of the early.
He was a hybrid
fake
outside,
linebackers. But never,
outside linebacker, but he never dropped back.
He never was. He was a 5th-round pick in 2005. Played for us for 6 years.
That's it.
From 2005 to 2010. But
Trent Cole?
Yeah.
No, he played with us.
I got 10 years written here.
Yeah, so he played with us till 14.
Yeah, so these are the 5 years that he had the
that's fair.
Big time sacks. Yeah. I picked his best 5 years, but he had 10 years with us, 85.5 sacks.
Yeah, that's great.
Now
second all time in Eagles sacks, right?
I think
behind
he's
Reggie?
Third because Clyde's got 121. Sorry.
Go ahead. It's all right.
Clyde Simmons has got 121.
Were they all with the Eagles though?
I believe so.
That's the problem.
No, 76 with the Eagles. I'm sorry.
So yeah. Trent Cole. He's second all time in Eagles sacks behind Reggie, of course.
Trent Cole also 19 forced fumbles. So you're talking a real guy that turned the ball over for us. He's big numbers. On number 5, Dennis Harrison, 34 sacks in 3 years, 1982. Let's see. He was in 1982. He had 10.5, 83, 11.5, and 84, 12 sacks. So that's in 82, 83, 84. He had 34 sacks. In 85, he was on the Rams. And you kind of go, what happened?
Crazy.
Three sacks for the Rams the next year. 34 sacks in 3 years, and we got rid of him. Don't know why. He did play from us from 78 to 84, so that was kind of – he had a long career before he really kind of took off. Of course, sacks weren't counted, though, back in the old days.
Yeah.
I got number 4 here, Hugh Douglas. We all remember him from 98, 2002. Yep. And then he played again for us in 2004. But he didn't really do well in the last season. In 5 years, he had 54.5 sacks, 6 seasons, but he didn't really play in one of the seasons. So he was also almost an 11-sack season guy. 2015, 2001, 9.5, and 2002, 12.5. So you're talking 3 years, 37 sacks. Wow. Another big time, they're talking in that same realm as Reddick. The big thing about Hugh Douglas, he's a Eagle still. He brought him back in the fold, and he kind of is does announcing.
He's on WIP
TV shows and things like that.
He has a show every day.
The big thing about him, though, he got in a fight with T.O. back in the year. The T.O. got tossed off the team, and one of the reasons was because he wouldn't apologize to him for that fight. The fight was on November 5th, 2005, so that moves him up a little higher in my list, too, as well, because
I agree with you.
T.O. had to go. Number 3, got Clyde Simmons, number 96, 9th round pick in the 86 draft. So he had 9th round. Now you only go 7, but in those days they had long picks. Played for us for 8 years, had 76 sacks. In 90, he had 7.5, 91, 13, and 92, 19. 39.5 sacks in 3 seasons. And in that season, he was first-team All-Pro. It's funny how you look up some of these guys who had phenomenal numbers, and they didn't even make Pro Bowls back then.
I know.
You're like, how did that happen? And number 2, I got Chuck Bednarik. Sacks didn't count, so he didn't get counted as a sack guy. Of course, he played for us for 14 years. He was the first overall pick in the 1949 draft and played for Penn College, which is Pennsylvania, which is amazing. And he was also 3rd in the Heisman, which is nuts. Yeah. As a defensive line center man.
Linebacker and center.
Yeah, it's just crazy. 2-time champion, of course. And number 1 was Reggie White. And we've talked about Reggie, but, he doesn't compare to anybody because he was amazing. He had 124 sacks for the Eagles in 8 seasons.
121 games with us.
His first 8 seasons, double-digit sacks, which is incredible. I'm sure that's been matched, but I don't think anyone's gone 8 seasons. I'd really have to look that up. Yeah. So there you go. So you cry about Reddick all day long, but we've had some big names in the past that have done it for 3 seasons. Now that Reddick's gone, we just have to say goodbye. And like you say, hope he meets the number so we move up to a number 2 pick. And hopefully we use that pick and get the best player in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, looking here, I just wanted to pull this. I pulled this up while you were talking about some stuff. So yeah, Trent Cole, he's second all time in Eagles sacks, 85.5. Clyde's 3rd, 76.
Right.
I'm not going to mention number 1. It's White, Reggie, of course.
Yes.
Graham's 4th at 73. So he
can get him.
If he gets 3 or 4 this year, he'll get 3 to tie for 3rd.
That would be cool.
If he gets 4 this year, he'll become 3rd all time in sacks.
That would be great.
Cox ended his career as 5th.
Greg 70 plus, right?
Just 70 exactly.
That's awesome.
Yep. Greg Brown with 57.5. Carl Hairston, same amount. Dennis Harrison next with 55.5. And then we got Hugh Douglas at 54.5. So Hugh Douglas, funny thing, the altercation. He wasn't on the team when he got in that fight with Terrell Owens. He wasn't on the team. He'd already been released before the season, and they brought him back in 2005 as a front office
right
person,
that's
like
what I read.
ambassador sort of thing. And he got into that fight and everything. He wasn't even on the team.
That's something. So
he
must have said something as he walked by,
and he was pretty mad. He was pretty pissed.
Definitely.
Josh Sweat, he's 14th in Eagle sacks all time.
Okay, and he's got how many total?
Total 35.
Okay, we talked about the other day. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Not bad. 35 in 88 games. Not amazing, but it's all right.
Right.
But yeah, looking at this, it's kind of funny how low some people are. Haason Reddick's 25th. I thought he'd be a little higher. He only has 27, of course, 2 years.
Right. Well, they don't count playoff ones.
Yeah. Darwin Walker at 27.5. Vinny Curry, 30.
So Darwin Walker was a defensive tackle.
Correct, yes.
But we had him
Corey Simon, 32. They're up there. Connor Barwin's up there, 31.5 at 18. Kind of funny. Just kind of funny to look at those numbers and see, man, I thought he was better.
Yeah, I was blown away by Greg Brown when I saw that. Yeah, the numbers he had. I was like, wow,
he's sixth.
You just don't get any love. You're like, I know the team wasn't great back then, but he played on the 85 and the 86 team, which is when things started to change. So
let's talk about some other free agent stuff. Let's go ahead and just say thanks to Haason Reddick. We wish you good luck. We wish you could have stayed. We wish it could all work out, but unfortunately,
now go get us a number 2 pick.
We all remember it's always it's a business, as always. That's what they do.
It stinks too, but sometimes you wish you could keep them. But just go get us a number 2 pick.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you.
Do that for us.
Let's talk about some departures. Quez Watkins going to Pittsburgh for 1 year deal. Not sure about the number yet. And Olamide Zaccheaus going to Washington for 1 year, so we'll be facing him. It's funny how his most notable play. Well, I guess you could argue some of his most notable play, but he's got like 3 big plays when he was an Eagle.
Yes.
2 of them touchdowns.
One was blocking.
And one was the blocking. Yeah, it's funny because the Bills one was a great touchdown.
Yes.
And then the Tampa Bay one early in the season was a great touchdown as well, kind of a scramble drill, last second thing effort. And then his most notable play for me, just thinking about it, was the blocking downfield for AJ to get in that end zone. It was great. It's phenomenal. And now it's funny because he's going to be on Washington. That was against Washington. Now he's on their team.
Yeah.
That's great. Let's talk about the rule changes. So 2 new rule changes have happened. We know we're late. Sorry, it's hard to record. We don't get paid. We're not professionals, so it's kind of harder to.
It's rough.
It's kind of harder to get in here.
You got to fit in our schedule, bud.
Yeah, you got to fit in the schedule. All right. Number 1, talking about the hip drop rule. Of course, this is the big one, big controversial one. It's funny when I heard about it. There's a lot of reactions. Like I said, it's controversial. There's people who are for it, mostly offensive guys for it, defensive guys against it. But I have heard that some offensive guys are against it and defensive guys for it, so stuff like that. My coworker, whose brother Harrison Phillips plays for the Vikings, he's on the NFLPA, and he voted for it to be banned. So he's against it. He doesn't like it. And I was kind of surprised because he's a defensive tackle.
Right.
And I was like, really? He's against it? Like, I was kind of surprised. But I know for a defensive tackle, hip drop tackle isn't probably going to happen as much because you're just
definitely no. That's more of a guy running away from you.
It is, yeah. You're
wide
more,
receiver.
You're more grabbing a guy, or it's a quarterback swing. So defensive tackle, it's less. But so the NFL analyzed more than 20,000 tackles over the last 2 seasons. They determined that type of technique causes injuries at a 20 times higher than any other tackle. So as it's described, this hip drop tackle will result in a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down. I hate that. If a player uses the following technique to bring a runner to the ground: 1, grabs the runner with both hands or wraps the runner with both arms and unweights himself by swiveling and dropping his hips and or lower body, landing on and trapping the runner's legs or at below the knee.
Right.
I know
I have seen this tackle many times.
Oh, yeah.
And it always looks awkward, and it always looks like someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
I would say I'm actually for it, so I'm glad they're going to ban it. I don't like it. I don't think it comes into play that often, but I may be wrong. They didn't give you how many numbers to tackle. They just said they analyzed 20,000 tackles. But I do think it's on par with the horse collar. Just the awkwardness that the player comes down,
Yeah. There's 2 sides to it because, number 1, you're right.
I'm trying to tackle you.
You see it happen. I saw it back in 2019, maybe it was 2018 when they tore Corey Clement's leg when Dallas tackled him, and they hip tackled him and his knee got buried, and then right away I was like, they just tore his freaking ACL.
Right.
Like, I was so pissed.
Right.
So I can understand both sides. The one side is I don't know how to play defense anymore. I don't know I don't know how defensive players are gonna. I don't know how they're gonna play football. Like, and I think this rule, depending on what happens, if they get rid of it, they keep it going. I think the era or what we used to have back in the 80s, 90s, the Reggie Whites, the Watts, JJ, Nick Bosa, we're about to have a big drop in numbers as players. Like I don't think we're gonna have another great defensive player. Ray Lewis, if he lived in this season now, where they got rid of that, he'd be an average linebacker. He can't tackle. That's his,
I mean that is debatable. Again, you'd have to go back.
He's not a fast guy. He can't catch up to you to grab you. His thing was all about his strength and bringing you down.
Ray Lewis may come on here and say, "Hey,
it's
you know what? I never had one of those tackles."
That's impossible.
I'm just saying, it's very possible.
No, it's actually not possible.
That I just grab his shirt and put a guy on his back. I don't know, but
it's physically impossible. He did not have a hip drop tackle in his career. The dude had over.
You never know.
He had 2,000 tackles. He had a.
Yeah,
there's no possible way he didn't have a hip drop tackle. So
it is a possibility.
There's 0% chance Ray Lewis did not.
I'll call
have a
Ray
hip
this
drop
weekend
tackle.
and find out.
0% chance.
I'm just saying, there's definitely just the position you play and how you come in on a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see a defensive end making that play, but like you say, if a guy gets behind you, you grab his shirt, you fly your hip around. That's what you do. And they're going to make that tackle because it's just instinctively, I'm trying to put you on the ground.
Yeah.
And you shook me off, and now I'm going to do whatever I can to make you fall.
Yeah, it's going to happen a lot. And I just don't know, like for defensive tackles, it'd be different. But for safeties, linebackers, and like I said, edge rushers, you can't, with the roughing the passer,
right?
The way they call it nowadays, and the helmet hits, and the you didn't let up and you fell on the guy, and now that this thing happens,
some of the worst,
some of these, a lot of sacks are going to be not a sack anymore because it's a 15-yard penalty. So T.J. Watt, I mean, I don't know how many hip drop tackles he had the last few years.
Right.
To me, he's the best defensive end in the league. I'll just go ahead and say
yes, he is.
Edge rusher, whatever you want to call it. I feel like his sack numbers are going to drop because of this sort of stuff. Like he's going to because he's going to go, okay, I can't get the hip drop. Well, then it's going to be, now it's roughing the passer because he threw him down in the head.
Right.
I just don't know. The other side do it. The good side is, I've seen a lot of people get hurt.
Right.
So I understand this rule. And like I said, Corey Clement, I think Dak got a hip drop tackle last year, and it was a miracle he didn't get hurt.
Right.
I remember watching.
That's the other thing.
Yeah. Someone sacked Dak, and it was a hip drop tackle, and I was like, oh, he's okay.
Yes.
Like I was like, holy crap. He looked like his leg was about to be broken.
Right.
Like, so I understand getting rid of it. The other thing I do have to say, there's only two situations that I remember exactly, and I know there's more out there, and maybe one day we'll get a YouTube video that says, oh, this is how many games would have been changed or something like that. But last year in our in the Eagles game against Dallas, we technically had a hip drop tackle at the 5-yard line. So, that was when the game expired. Time expired.
Right.
And they would have had a first down at the 1-yard line and an untimed down. And it's like, well,
one play.
We were only winning by 5, so we would have lost.
Right.
No,
I do.
And then you go back to the Super Bowl, the Rams and the Titans, that hip drop tackle to end that game.
Right.
They would have had goal line. They would have had a goal line play. So they
would have had one more play.
I don't know. I don't know what to think about it.
And then again, it's going to be subjective. Oh, that looked like one to me, but then you'll see a replay, but they won't use the replay, and you'll see it, and you go, he didn't do that. He grabbed his hip, and the guy spun.
Yeah.
I did not, hip tackle him.
Yeah.
And that's when it's going to be the worst thing, because now you're going, okay.
And the big meme was one day, next season on 4th and 25, Mahomes is going to throw a 15-yard pass. The guy's going to catch it, get hip tackled, and the game's going to be over. But then it's an automatic first down because so it's like, oh well.
Yeah,
you just know it's going to happen.
That's what I mean. That's
and it's probably going to happen. It's probably going to happen to the Bills. If I can call it right now, I'm going to call it. I'm going to say the Bills and Chiefs. They're going to play in the playoffs next year. It's going to look like the Bills are getting close to win.
Seal the game,
and then the Bills are going to get called for a hip drop tackle against the Chiefs wide receiver, and then the Chiefs are going to win. I'm going to call it.
Or
That's going to happen.
A hip tackle away from the ball.
No, I'm going to call it. That's going to happen.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Let's talk about the other rule change, the big one that people are kind of excited for. It does bring the kickoff back. I'm excited for it as well. So the ball kickoff, I don't know. It's the XFL rules, as everyone knows it as, or the UFL, whatever they want to call themselves now, which are playing today. They line up 5 yards across from each other, I believe. Let me see. 5-yard area between the 35 and the 30-yard line, where the 9 receiving team players line up. 7 players with the foot on the beat. Yeah, there's just a bunch of numbers. I'm not going to read it all. But they're 5 yards across from each other. Kicker kicks it, goes to the guy. He can still do the fair catch call, I'm pretty sure. Still there.
Yeah, I don't think
and
it's
then
going to
touchback can go into the 25-yard line. But
Right.
they now have the option to return it. It's a lot better now. Maybe give us some more chances to have returns in the league that aren't as high impact and dangerous because guys aren't sprinting.
But still
90.
exciting instead of just kicking it out of the end zone. Because that's all we cheered for years.
The thing was,
kick it out of the end zone.
Yeah. Well, the thing for me was at one point I was like, I feel like, what's the point of doing this anymore? Like, we're just causing toll on the kickers that have to kick it 70 yards now, like out of the end zone.
Right.
That's just, what's the point? Just give him the ball at the 25-yard line. But yeah, it'll be nice to see. Do you think this brings Boston Scott back to the team?
I think it would. I mean, he's definitely the guy that can do that with like an open field kind of thing and get a run. And the one thing about it though, if you in the years past they started to try and kick it short, like 15-yard line, so that your team's lousy at returning. You do that now, but when he catches at the 15, by the time those guys get down here, he'll be past the 30, 35-yard line.
Yep. I don't even know if you can squib it anymore because you have to kick it over to the guys that are on the 30, 35-yard line. It has to be over.
Yeah, that's another part of the rule we'd have to see.
Oh, yeah, so no fair catcher signal is allowed.
Okay.
Like it's on here.
Okay.
I
wish they would say, and if the ball bounces into the end zone, it's a live ball, but, they kind of got rid of that too, which to me was ridiculous. You got to field it.
And then the onside kick changes. The onside kick fourth quarter begins. The team trailing has the opportunity to declare an onside kick to the officials. Occurred onside kicks, they would apply. An onside kick goes beyond the setup zone, untouched 10 yards. The kicking team penalized for UN. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
But you can't just do surprise onside kicks anymore, which I know some people were like, well, they can't do that anymore. Well, I've seen like 7 of those in my life, so it's not like it's...
Well, one was in a Super Bowl, though. You
know
that.
It's not like it happens ever again, though.
No.
It just doesn't happen.
It's just weird. Now, does that mean you have to declare it but not tell the other team?
The Cardinals did it to us last year, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
No, you have to declare it. The other team has to know.
Yeah, they did it to us late in the game because they knew we couldn't do anything with it. They'd stop us, get the ball, and score.
Such a great
idea. That's what they did.
It's so funny. I remember we yelled it. We'd shoot, like when Eli Ricks recovered it, I remember you and I were like, oh, that was genius.
Yeah.
Because he knows we can't drive.
We can't run the clock out.
Yeah. He knew it.
Yes, he did.
God, that was genius. It sucked so much. That was horrible. God, that defense was so bad last year. I don't know how it's going to be any better. We're playing Bradbury and Slay still. I know Slay's not on the same category, so I shouldn't mention them in the same sentence. And
that's another thing that
he's
bothers
33 now. I just can't.
Their coach colludes, does that nonsense with the Cardinals, and then we don't really get like a number 1 pick from them. We got this stupid trade thing. We got like a 5th, 7th round pick or something.
That sucked.
That was ridiculous. Yeah. I still don't understand that.
Yeah. But I think we talked about some changes that we wanted to see the rules. What was a rule change?
The one rule, I think if I had one chance, one opportunity, got a call from the commissioner and he said, what do you want to do? I would go with some of the other people I've heard talk and say, you can review every single play.
Yeah.
That guy hit my quarterback in the helmet. You didn't see it, even though your job is to watch the quarterback. He got hit in the helmet, face mask. You didn't call it. I want that penalty.
Yeah.
And fumbles that they say, oh, there's no clear this. There's so many times that, and because it always feels like that the one time you get ripped off, when you're a team that gets the bad call against you, right? A lot of teams get that. And, they don't have it. There's no recluse. Oh, I whistled it dead already. All right, well, it's my ball though, at least, like just something where I can review every single play.
Yeah.
Maybe it means you just get one a game. I don't know if you get one each half. I don't know. Or count you a timeout if you don't get the play, just like they do now. But I just think that every play should be reviewable so that you don't say, okay, pass interference, yet my defensive end was tackled by 3 guys and they're jumping up and down on him right now. And somebody didn't see it, right? Yeah. I mean, how many times it's hard to watch sometimes. You go, there's 5 referees. I'm seeing it 1,000 miles away in the back of the bar. You're sitting on the field 8 feet away from the guy. You didn't see him get his face turned by a face mask?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I would agree with that one, but I'll go with a different one for my rule change. Touchbacks, 20-yard line, maybe 15.
Yeah.
25-yard line. When they changed that, I remember when they changed that, and I was like, why?
Yeah.
It's already easier to be on offense than defense. It always will.
Everything is geared for the offense.
Especially now with the tackles, but it never made sense to me. Why the 25-yard line? And the moment that the Chiefs did the 13-second thing, they should have immediately been like, all right, it's too easy.
Even though it's only 5 yards,
and it's not just them. I remember the Saints doing it to Houston a few years ago when the 25-yard line, they went down and scored, and I'm like, It's too easy.
Right.
Like you can't give him 5 extra yards. You might need to take away 10. You might need to go back to the 15.
I mean,
it's
why
too
not?
easy.
Make it harder. I mean, why make it? We already seen the NFL's got enough fans. It's not like we need to change it. So, we need more scoring, or I'm not going to watch it next year. No, we're watching already, and there's the numbers are there. Just whatever they do, but make it so that it's more competitive.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, a lot of times we get the ball at the 25-yard line, and there's a minute and a half left before the half. Either we're going to score a touchdown or a field goal easily.
Yeah.
We have plenty of time to do it. We only need to go 40 yards, with the guys kicking nowadays.
Yeah, it's true.
But that extra 5 yards, that might stop. That might
change things.
Might be it.
All
I
right,
would like to see that.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and jump into other sports. 76ers, the 39-35, lost 3 in a row. Horrible game the other day. The referees, if you want to talk about bad calls, in the last minute and a half, just some absolutely atrocious calls by the referees. Kelly Oubre went over. At the end of the game, last play of the game, Paul George just collapsed on him. They didn't call a foul. Didn't call, I almost said flag. Didn't call a foul, so we didn't get a shoot, and we lost by 1. Really horrible game called by the referees. But Kelly Oubre, man, him and Nick Nurse, they both got fined. And Kelly Oubre went over and just, at the refs, he was just cussing at them and just like calling them each a B word and just you guys, it was great.
What, bad referee?
Yeah, that's right. Phillies 0-1 start to the season, looking like it's going to be 0-2. They had a pretty good start to the game the other day, and then the bullpen just collapsed, and looks like the bullpen might be collapsing now. I had the score pulled up. It's 3-0. Oh no, I'm sorry. Oh, it's 5-3. The Braves are up 5-3. So we did score a little bit. That's only in the top of the second.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, we got time.
Yeah, so the first game the other day, I think we went up 2-0, and then the other we lost 9-3. They scored 9 runs in 2 back-to-back innings against us.
Well, there's only 160 games left, so
that's the thing. People were
I hope we can win some.
People were freaking out on Twitter, and that there was other fans going, guys, it's the season opener, and not just that. Like, I don't know if you remember the Phillies the last 2-3 years, or just 2 years, really. We're not good in the beginning. Right. We'll get there though.
Get to July and the All-Star break, and then let's see what happens.
Exactly.
That's how it works.
Exactly.
It's kind of like the NBA in the end, the season.
Oh yeah,
just get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Union 2-0-3. They won earlier today, so that makes them still undefeated. Haven't lost a game yet. This just helped them climb in the rankings.
So they won the last 2 games, and they
tied the first 3.
Yeah.
Won the last 2.
Nice.
So that's good.
Oh, that's right. We watched last week's game.
Yep. Still undefeated, so they won a good match today, 2-0 against Minnesota. Some really good goals. Go check it out if you like soccer.
Excellent.
For the Flyers, they're 36, 28, and 10. They play the Blackhawks tonight. They're on a 3-game losing streak as well, looking to kind of turn it around. It's been a rough one because I think they had an overtime loss, like 6-5 the other day, and it was a hard-fought game. They got a point out of it, so that's good, but it was a tough loss to have. But other than that, it was just got to turn around some of these teams right now. But yeah.
Do have a little Switchbacks news. Frankie's just became part of the season ticket holder coin club, so we can go down there with our coin and get some stuff out of there.
For those who know, the Colorado Springs Switchbacks, the soccer team in the USL Championship, which is the second division of Major League Soccer in the United States. We're season ticket holders for the Switchbacks, and Frankie's, of course, is the bar that the Eagles fan group goes to, and they joined in on the there's benefits to the coin. Just really cool that you get a free beer and you get a couple wings for $1.
So
stuff like that.
Shout out to really Frankie's. Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, shout out to Frankie's.
We're glad that they're on the list.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be going there a lot more too.
We
we go there all the time, but we'll probably be going there even more now because of that. So we appreciate that. We appreciate you.
We should get a viewing party over there one of these nights.
That's right.
That would be awesome.
That'd be great. You got anything else?
No, just the draft's coming up, and we're going to be watching the draft. I'm not sure the date and time yet, but we'll get that out here.
April 24th, maybe?
Something like that. 22nd, something like that.
All right. Well, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe down below. Comment how you feel about the Haason Reddick trade. What you want to see from the defensive ends now? What do you want our next move to be? Maybe what's your next draft pick choice now that things are changing?
Definitely.
It's funny that the draft always changes. It's always like we thought, a few weeks ago we were saying, we're going to have to get a defensive end because Sweat's going to be gone, Reddick's going to be gone. Then we get Huff, we keep Sweat, Reddick's gone. We got Nolan Smith, we got Brandon Graham back, and you're like, now we don't need a defensive end. But then Reddick's gone. You're like, oh, maybe we do.
Yeah.
So
well, we're just getting younger.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing about it. We did get the young guys, and that's
But
hopefully, we're not burned by it. Hopefully, you don't look bad, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, but comment down below what you want to see. You can email us any questions at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. But other than that, from all of us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
And fly, Eagles, fly.